You know, in financial analysis, there's one number that just cuts through all the noise. It asks a single, really tough question. It's called the quick ratio. And honestly, it's one of the most powerful stress tests you can possibly find.
Think about this for a second. If all of a company's customers just stopped paying tomorrow and all its creditors demanded their money right now, would that company just fold? Well, the quick ratio, it gives us the answer. It is the ultimate financial stress test.
So, let's put this concept to the test. We're about to see how this one single number can measure a company's ability to handle a sudden shock. It's what separates the companies that are truly resilient from the ones that just look stable on the surface.
Okay, so at the very heart of this is a concept called liquidity. The best way to think about it is like a company's financial first aid kit. This isn't about how much a company is worth in total, it's all about how much cash it can get its hands on right now to handle an emergency.
Now, you've probably heard of the current ratio. That's kind of the standard day-to-day operational view. It looks at pretty much everything a company could turn into cash within a year. But the quick ratio, which also has this awesome name, the acid test, is way, way tougher. It takes a crisis view, only counting assets that can be turned into cold, hard cash almost instantly.
So where does it get a name like the acid test? Let's actually break down the formula to see why it's such a ridiculously strict measure of a company's financial health.
The whole thing starts with what we call quick assets. And listen, this isn't just any old asset. We're talking only about the things that are either already cash or can become cash in under 90 days. I mean, that is a super strict definition. We're talking cash in the bank, investments you can sell tomorrow, and the money your customers owe you. That's it. You know, the easiest way to think about this is what you take out. You start with all the company's short-term assets, and then you get ruthless. You subtract the two big things you just can't count on in a pinch: inventory and any prepaid expenses. Whatever's left over, those are your quick assets.
So here's the crucial part. Why do we exclude those things? Well, inventory gets kicked out because you're never guaranteed to sell it. In a crisis, you might have to sell it at a huge discount, right? So its value on the books is kind of unreliable. And those prepaid expenses, like rent you paid for next year, that cash is already gone. You can't use it to pay this month's bills. This is what makes the ratio a true acid test.
Okay, so now we know how to calculate it. Let's get to the fun part, decoding the result. Once you have that number, what is it actually telling you about the company's health?
The magic number here is 1.0. If a company has a quick ratio of exactly 1.0, it means it has $1 of super liquid assets for every $1 of immediate bills. It can cover everything it owes right now without having to sell a single t-shirt or widget from its inventory. That's considered the baseline for being financially healthy.
And you can really see the difference this makes. A healthy company with a ratio of, say, 1.5 has a nice cushion, $150 in quick assets for every $100 it owes. But a company down at 0.7, it's in trouble. It's only got 70 cents for every dollar it owes. It'll be forced into a fire sale on its inventory just to stay alive.
So yeah, anything below 1.0 is a big ol' red flag. It's telling you that the company depends on selling its inventory or maybe even finding new loans just to pay its existing bills. That is a really weak position to be in, and it's something that makes creditors and investors very, very nervous.
But here's where the real nuance comes in. A super high ratio isn't always a good thing. A ratio way up above 2.0 might look incredibly safe, but it can also be a sign of inefficiency. It might mean the company is just hoarding cash instead of putting it to work to grow the business.
This quote just nails it perfectly. It's a total balancing act. Too little cash is obviously dangerous, but too much can mean you're missing out on huge opportunities. It's kind of like leaving your star players on the bench. Sure, they're safe there, but they're not helping you win the game.
All right, now we get to what is maybe the most important part of this whole analysis. The numbers we've been talking about, they don't exist in a vacuum. To really, truly understand the quick ratio, you have to understand the industry a company is in.
Remember that 1.0 benchmark? It's just a rule of thumb, a starting point. Applying it blindly to every single company is a classic rookie mistake. The right number depends completely on the company's business model. Just look at this. The variation is incredible. A biotech company might have a quick ratio over 7, while a clothing retailer could be perfectly healthy at 0.5. If you judge that retailer by the biotech standard, you'd think they were about to go bankrupt, and you'd be totally wrong.
And here's why that is. A biotech firm needs a massive pile of cash, what they call a long runway,
to fund years and years of research before a product ever makes a dime. For them, liquidity is survival. But a fast fashion store, their inventory turns over so quickly and so predictably that it's almost as good as cash anyway. Excluding it from the calculation actually gives you a misleadingly pessimistic view of their health.
So, the quick ratio is an incredibly powerful lens, but it is not the only one you should be using. Let's wrap this up by putting it in its proper place, as just one part of a complete financial checkup. It's really important to remember what the ratio doesn't tell you. It's just a snapshot in time, so it can't show you trends. It also completely ignores the cash that's coming in from day-to-day business, and it kind of optimistically assumes every single customer is going to pay their bills. To get a real, complete, and accurate picture, a true analyst never, ever relies on just one metric. You use the quick ratio for that crisis test view, sure, but then you use the current ratio for the operational view, and then you layer on top of that how fast their inventory is selling and how much cash the business is actually generating.
Ultimately, the quick ratio is more than just a formula. It's a mindset. It forces you to ask, what's real on this balance sheet when things get tough? So now that you have this tool, take a look around. Which companies that you know are truly built to last?